Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to season 4, episode 13 of the P.W.P Sessions podcast. I am your host, Noelle Figueroa. Thank you for joining me tonight. Today's guest, or tonight's guest rather, is Dhayana Alejandrina, and I'm looking forward to this awesome conversation to learn more about her and her work as an author and a poet. Now, for those of you not already familiar, the P.W.P Sessions, or the Poets for Purpose podcast, is a podcast I created where I interview new or established authors of poetry, rappers, or MCs, featuring a performance of their work along with an audience Q&A session. I am your host, Noelle Figueroa. I am a poet, author, blogger, workshop facilitator, and event host, and I am the creator of the P.W.P Sessions podcast. Tonight's guest is Dhayana Alejandrina, and this is her bio. Dhayana Alejandrina is a poet, community builder, speaker, writing mentor, and author of Agriduce Poetry and Prose. She is the lead poetry and cultural collaborator for Afrique Noir magazine, where she uplifts emerging writers and creatives. Her work explores inner growth, culture, identity, and wellness. Through her essays, poems, and workshops, she fosters creativity and celebrates diverse voices. Dhayana has been featured in LA Times, Black Girl Narrative, Aldea Newspaper, We All Grow Latina, Penguin Publishing, and more. She is also the founder of the Creative Writing Hour, a global space with over 300 members connecting through the art of storytelling. As a creative writing mentor, Dhayana Alejandrina finds joy in sharing her knowledge to nurture the next generation of storytellers. Her work centers on the transformative power of words through poetry, storytelling, mentoring, and leading workshops. Beyond technique, she is committed to creating heartfelt spaces where individuals can share their stories, build community, access resources, and feel supported. Dhayana's deep belief in the power of storytelling to connect and empower fuels her passion for this work. Ladies and gentlemen, here's Dhayana Alejandrina. Hey, good
Thank
evening. How
you.
are
Thank you
you?
so much. I am doing great. I am blessed to be here with you and just so happy for that wonderful introduction. So thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. So, who is Dhayana Alejandrina? How would you describe yourself or define yourself?
Mm. Diana Alejandrina is a goofy girl who loves life, loves nature, finds joy in being in authentic communities where we don't have to put up a mask, to show up as the human beings that we are. She's a lover of all storytelling, of listening to people tell their stories, of supporting others, of giving, knowledge. And yeah, she's the proud daughter of an immigrant mother, moved from the Dominican Republic when I was 13 years old. Um, have degrees in everything that is in writing, but God has a funny way of putting you in the path that you're meant to be. So, yeah, I am honored to be here. I'm an author, published my first book in 2021, second book is coming out in April of next year. And I'm grateful to be doing what I'm doing. Yeah, thank you.
Excellent. Now, where did you, or rather, how did you begin your writing journey? Like, what was your motivation to begin writing poetry?
My motivation, so I have to throw it back. Um, Again, I grew up in the Dominican Republic, a very small neighborhood where everybody knew everybody. I mean, I could not go up a couple blocks without people knowing, oh yeah, that's Rafael's and Soyla's daughter. And interestingly enough, my dad loves to write. He loves to write and loves to read, but I didn't know he was actually a writer until he started to show me his writing. So his creative writing, short poems. He also writes me letters for my birthday to this day. So you
Um,
could say that it comes from him and it comes from mommy's love for literature as well. But I started in my little room in DR. I would just love one of my diary and writing little quotes or poems and giving it out to people, writing on the walls. And I didn't know it was going to develop into what it is today. So at first it was just a simple act of um, kindness to myself, right? Of expression. And it became what it is now, especially after moving to the United States.
Excellent. Now, when you first started writing, like, what were the things that you were writing about in the beginning?
Like in the beginning, back in the Dominican Republic type of writing.
Yeah, like what age,
Uh,
what age were you when you started writing?
I was around 9.
Mhm.
That is the most vivid, like personal writing where I can vividly remember, okay, I'm writing about love. I'm writing about the person I like. I'm writing about my journey throughout the days. But that was that simplicity of youth, of childlike special moments as you grow up. And then when I moved to the United States is when the writing became serious. It became more of a almost a way to survive and cope with the changes in culture, in language, in family traditions, and distance. It became even more of a this is how I am transitioning and living my story.
Mhm. Excellent, excellent. Now, what was the point where you decided to step out and share it publicly, like as far as in a stage, like at an open mic or some type of event where you wanted it, where you wanted your poetry to
Mhm.
be heard by more people?
So that point, it took actually some time. My writing was always so private and intimate because I was never the outspoken person I am today. So I used to hide within the pages and really be vulnerable and honest within the pages, but a little more shy and kept whenever I had to speak to other people. So the first time that I felt inclined or let's say confident and not scared to share in public, I was living in Japan. So that's when my journey of publicly becoming a poet started. I created my Instagram in 2018. It started to share bits and pieces of my poetry. And then a friend of from Japan was like, hey, there's a open mic happening. There's going to be singers and performers, and maybe you should try it out. And I actually performed my first 2 poems in Japan. It
Wow.
was so nerve-wracking. But it was an inviting audience, and I did it, and I felt so proud. And after that, I was like, you know what? I can see myself continuing to do this.
Wow, that's awesome. Not many people can say that they perform poetry in another country. That's a huge accomplishment.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I stumbled upon it. I was like, okay, you have to commit, just sign up and do it.
Right, definitely, definitely. Now, what was your like what led you to your decision to put together like your first book? Like, can you take me and our audience tonight through the process of you putting together your very first book? Like, what was that like for you?
So it started again when I created my Instagram way before that, I had shared with a couple of people from work pieces of my work. Because I was writing during work hours. I would bring my journal to work and I would just continue to do my thing. And somebody has said, well, why don't you think about publishing a book? At that point in my life is 2017, 2018. I really have no clue how to publish a book. It was more, it seemed like a long term, long distance dream. But I was like, you know what? It definitely can become something. So I started looking into it. I got back to the United States end of 2019, beginning of 2020. So literally when COVID was being announced.
Wow.
By that point, I had already started to gather what I thought would be good poems to put on a book. And honestly, I was just putting things on a Word document. I was like, okay, this seems to fit. I'm seeing a narrative building, but I need help. I don't know how I'm going to edit this. I don't know how I'm going to format it. I've never self-published and I never had anybody within my circle that did it. I'm brand new to this. But after moving to the United States, I devoted a couple more months to just structuring everything and watch videos and attended workshops and look further into self-publishing companies and found Gatekeeper Press, who I actually will be publishing my second collection with, and are the sponsors of the Creative Writing Hour. And that was a blessing, honestly. They walked me through everything, but honestly, the whole process of putting together a manuscript can definitely be challenging and discouraging for an author that has never seen it being done within their family or within a group of friends. So for me, it was more of a I need to commit to why it is important for me to publish this collection and honestly sit with each piece and understand what am I putting out in the world and how is it actually helping me as an individual in my voice. So that was an opportunity for me to take that step and trust in my voice and my story. So from there, it was just a self-publishing journey.
Mhm.
Editing, going back and forth with the manuscript, and I learned a lot after publishing that book. Because after that, I mean, the work is on you, the promoting, the marketing, the keep on talking about your book. So yeah, it's quite a journey. Still learning a lot.
Definitely, definitely. Yeah, I shared a similar sentiment when I published my first book, One Man's Journey, back in 2007. That's when I did the first printing. And then I did the second printing in 2020. So yeah, I experienced all of those emotions and events in trying
Yeah,
to put the book together. But there's no greater satisfaction than, having that book in your hand when everything is finally finished. Do you have a
yes,
preference
absolutely.
between self-publishing and the traditional publishing route?
I'm sorry, do I have a what?
Do you have a preference between
Mm.
self-publishing or the traditional publishing? That like do you feel one is better than the other?
So as of right now, my first collection was self-publishing, and second one will be as well. I recognize why a lot of people dream of being published traditionally. I get it. A lot of the promotion is being done for you. You get a lot of benefits, you're booked and so forth. But I also understand the limitation of that. You don't have a lot of creative flexibility with your cover or say in how the things are done. I do not regret the hard work that it takes to be a self-publishing author. I do not. I think it is a blessing and it lets you know, does this matter to you enough to put in the work? Does it matter enough to you to show up for your work, to dedicate the same time? Do you still consider your work important because you are publishing it and not, a big traditional publishing company, which is still a beautiful accomplishment, of course.
Right.
But as of right now, I only have the experience of being a self-published author. And although it is a lot of work, I think right now I prefer it. I can take my time, I understand what it takes, and it's honestly preparing me for if one day that happens. I know exactly how I need to move. I know exactly the connections I've built. But I talk to emerging writers or just writers that want to have a collection, and I say, at the end of the day, what is your why? Because you're going to publish a book and you have to understand that everybody is going to like it. Doesn't matter if it's self-published or traditionally published. You're
Right.
gonna have people that don't connect with it. So then what are you gonna do at that point in your career? Are you gonna stop writing? Are you gonna continue to believe in your work? So I would say self-publishing right now is my preferred way. And yeah, I enjoy it. I've learned a lot.
Excellent. And as far as your writing itself, like what subjects have you been covering with your work at the present time?
Right now, at the present time, it's been a lot of tapping into my identity and my culture. So memories of childhood, of growing up in the Dominican Republic, of the immigration journey, learning English, right? I moved to the United States when I was 13 years old. I didn't speak a word of English. So tapping back at what that was like and where I'm from, in trying to reconnect, right? Because you move so young, sometimes you feel disconnected. I have been really focusing on what was that life like and how does it feel every time that I go back home. So a lot of family dynamics, identity, culture, and of course, like that sense of wellness. I love talking about life cycles and nature and how we are a reflection of nature and nature can be a reflection of us in the way that we move in the world, in the way that we treat others, and the cycles of growth in our lives. So that stays persistent within my writing.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Which brings me to my next question, because it's good that you touched about culture and identity. Because I want to ask you, how important is it to you in terms of representing yourself? The word representation is thrown around, here and there for
Mm.
whatever reasons, for various reasons. As far as yourself, how important is it to you to make sure that you're representing yourself in your totality? Whether you're talking about yourself as a woman, whether you're talking
Mm.
from a Latina perspective, in terms of, culture, education, all the things that make you who you are. How important is it
Mm.
to you that you're making sure that you're representing yourself in your totality through your writing?
Hmm. Wonderful, deep question, layered question. But as you're asking it, I think about my nieces and my nephews in DR. I think about how they're looking at me when I come and visit. What type of person am I to them whenever they say, oh, Auntie Diana does this, or she got a degree, or she likes to play sports and she's involved with the family and that matters to me before anyone else that doesn't know me, how I show up with my family, with my loved ones, how honest and caring I am with them is going to be a representation of how I show up with everyone else. I grew up and my dad would tell me, every time that you step out of this house, you're representing all of us. It's not just about you. So the way that you carry yourself, the way that you respect others, the way you talk to others, and that is something that really matters to me. And within my writing, I honor the way my parents raised me, the way my brothers were with me, the way that I want my nieces and nephews to look at me, not for what I've done, but for who I am when it comes to my values and my beliefs and the ways that I treat other people. How am I treating other people when they see me and when they don't see me? That is very important to me. Also, the authenticity of our language. I a couple of years ago, I used to struggle with, do I have to translate certain words within my writing so other people really understand it, or who am I catering to
Right.
with my writing? And that was a wake up call for me. And it was like, wait a minute, no. If I am to be completely authentic and also just free with it, I must write in the way that I should. I must mention, the words in Spanish, and they can look it up, they can Google it, they can connect, they can learn more about me as a writer whenever they have that opportunity and I'm being transparent with my writing. So it really matters uh, to me to honor that within my writing and within my everyday life.
Excellent, excellent. Now, and now, in terms of the subject matter, do you feel you have more? Do you have certain subjects that you write about more than others, or do you just write about, or do you just write according to how you feel at any given time?
Yeah, it's a balance of the both.
Mhm. Right.
A lot of our writing can definitely be a hell of emotional. And whenever you're angry, whenever you're sad, whenever you feel this undescribable joy, that creativity just comes. So I think it's definitely emotional depending on how I feel. And and aside from that, because I'm writing my second collection, it has a lot to do right now with what has the stillness in my life taught me about my creativity, which is what the new book will be about. And in other words, a lot of writers think that writer's block means that they're not good writers, so they just can't come up with something new, something good. And I'm reframing that to say, okay, sometimes as writers, as human beings, period, we need these long periods of stillness to be able to teach us something that we're missing. Are we taking care of our bodies? Are we taking care of our minds? Are we taking good rest, good sleep? Are we trying something new? We can become so focused in is my writing good enough? Am I writing every day? That we forget that our writing ultimately is a reflection of our everyday lives, of our habits, of our connections, of our relationships, of how we treat ourselves. So that has been what I'm tapping into the most. But of course, there's that I feel this way, let me write about it right now. Or maybe I'll just go a month without writing anything new. And that's okay with me because there's creativity still happening
Right.
within the stillness of not necessarily producing something.
Right, right. And what has been the reception to your work? Like, what kinds of comments have you received about it?
From Agridulce, it was always like, hey girl, I really think you was stalking me because you have poems in there that are completely describing what I'm feeling right now. So I always laugh about it because Agridulce is the type of collection in which I'm being honest about what we experience as human beings. There are topics, there are certain type of emotions that are difficult to articulate to people. And I like to say that we're a balance of both, the bad, like the bad and the good. And then we try to find that medium of understanding, okay, but why is the bad happening? and where is it coming from? And there's a lot of self-reflection that comes from it. So I love that people have been able to connect with my work on a deeper sense and that they see their humanness and their experiences as something that is true and not rare, and they're not alone, or they're not different, that ultimately we all share similar experiences. And I'm really happy with how it's been received and grateful.
Awesome. Excellent. Excellent. Now, I think that provides the perfect segue to the next portion of this episode, because now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Diana to take the mic. Now, at this time, Diana, you're welcome to share up to five poems of your choosing, to give our audience an idea of who you are as a writer and an author. You don't have to do five, but you'll have space to do five. So at this time, the floor is yours.
You, absolutely. So I'll be reading a few pieces from Agridulce, and I'm going to start with the very first prose that introduces the first chapter, which is Lo Agrio, which means the sour. Agridulce is divided into two sections. So we have the sour and the sweet. So we're going to start with the very first prose to introduce all of the works. And it's untitled, and it goes like this. Paper is a blank listener that accompanies me through life. I can find paper in corners I could never find you in my heart. Paper lets me be vulnerable. It doesn't judge me, it embraces me for who I am. As I turn the pages carefully, paper welcomes me with open arms. Some of you can never understand or imagine the relationship that we have. Paper is a blank listener. It helps me through my darkest times. And as writers of any genre, we understand that difficult yet beautiful relationship that we have with paper, with our journals, with our writing. And so for me, this was the most important way to get us started and introduce all the different emotions and experiences of agridulce, because it's not easy to put things on paper, because as we look at it's real. It's our emotions tend to be the things that we cannot say out loud. So that was the perfect way for me to introduce the book. With that, I am going to move on to reading a second poem from the first session. And this one is titled Libertad, which means freedom in Spanish. I want to be free, enjoy the air I breathe, no anxiety on sight, just a beautiful starry night. I want to be free from the demons that haunt me, from the pain consuming me, from the wolves that are trapping me. I want to be free from the memories that keep me up at night, from the tears that taste like salt and the self-blame that never goes. I want to be free from what was never apologized for, from the insecurities that say hello, from the doubts eating me whole. I want to be free from the pain that holds my hand as tight as an oyster. I want to be free. But my fear drains me, and my lack of self love scares me. I just want to be free. And this is one of those poems that lets us know that sometimes we hold on to so much in our hearts, in our bodies, in our minds, that don't allow us to be free, either in the way that we show up, in the way that we speak to others, in the way that we love, in the way that we care, in the way that we take care of ourselves. And so there's a lot of forgiveness that needed to come from this piece. So it was really important for me to write it down and show the transition of what it looks like to be in this type of space, and then what it looks like to forgive myself later on. So yeah, that was Leave It at That from page 39. And now we move on to the sweet. And the very first one that I am going to read you guys is titled Love Language. And we'll be able to see a bit of the transition from the sentiments. What is my love language? Sometimes I don't know. I have changed so many times for people I no longer love. I used to think that to love was to be the person that they wanted me to be, so I became their life force, their double A batteries. I satisfy each need, listen to their request, fill the holes that others left. I really thought this was okay. As the years went by, I did not wait for an apology to claim my power back. I found true love within myself. Each part of me is a realm. My love language is me. I love myself tremendously, respectfully, wholeheartedly. And that was the third poem to the start of Lo Dulce. And it really meant a lot to me. It definitely has this backstory. Um, and it's interesting to even navigate that topic right now and think about how, you know, there's different types of love languages. I love acts of service. But when we think about the way that we love ourselves, right, and the way that we show up for ourselves, it can be very difficult for us to do it in the same way that we do it for other people. And there must be a balance of boundaries, of respect, of love, of care that we have towards ourselves in the same way that we have for others. And for me, was realizing that yes, I love to help people. Yes, I love to be of service and to see people succeed, but am I also giving that type of love and respect and care to myself? Am I rooting for myself in the same way? And that was just a way for me to say, hey, um, let's do it. You definitely have it in you to be able to do that. And the last piece from Agridulce that I'm going to read. It's on page 150 and it's titled Women Around the World. You are a blessing sent from God. No matter what the world seems to tell you, you wake up every morning one of a kind, and no one should ever take that away from you. You glow in ways only the sun recognizes, and your growth is majestic. You are a woman of courage and many strengths. You're caring, vulnerable, kind, nurturing, and life giving. For you are also strong, fearless, and could shake the earth itself for your voice to be heard. No matter what life throws at you, you hold your ground and stand tall. I admire you. You are beautiful. You are becoming. And sincerely, I was thinking of my mom when I wrote that. Um, she's done so much for me, for all of her children, just like my dad. She moved here to the United States first, and she had to establish herself, and then I came, and so I've seen all of the hard work that she's done from not speaking English to working really hard and making sure I had everything I needed to being that caring, loving woman, but also standing her ground. And so I take a lot of pride in how my mother is and how much of a wonderful person and balance of being who I am she is. So yeah, those are the pieces from I am from Agri Dulce. And I hope that you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, thank you so much for holding this space for me to read as well.
Those were excellent poems, Diana. Thank you so much for sharing them. And I look forward to continuing your book. I had just started it recently, and I've enjoyed what I read so far. So I'm excited to continue it. And I encourage everyone in our audience, if you haven't already, please get your copy of Agli Duce. I don't know if y'all can see it because of my background, might be interfering with the visual. Oh, there he is.
Oh yeah, I'll bring it up.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Excellent, excellent. So if y'all haven't got your copy, please support Diana and her project. That was excellent material. Thank you. Um, if you could collaborate with any poet, living or deceased, who would it be and why?
Now you hit me with that question. Whew. I would have to go with Sonia Sanchez. Oof. Something about that woman is just incredible. The way in which she holds strength and gentleness within her words and authority, but it's so personal, it's so alive. Her repetitions are just art. Will have to be her.
Excellent, excellent. And aside from her,
How
um,
about you? I need to write back that question at you. I'm like, what would be your
mine, oh my God, there's so many. Well, the main one, probably the main one that would be under as far as living or deceased is concerned, it would probably have to be Langston Hughes because he was the very first one that inspired me to get into poetry. So it would definitely be him, like at the top of the list. But aside
Yes.
from Sonia,
Yeah.
who else would you consider to be your inspirations?
Oh, Of course, I love a lot of Maya and Sonia's work. I also love Dominican writer Melania. Luisa Marte has incredible poetry. I don't know if you've heard of her, but I'll say that in this time right now, she is one of my greatest inspirations. She writes from, what it is to be a Dominican from the countryside, just upbringings, what it is to exist in this world with everything. She has an amazing advocacy for our humanness and the things that are happening in the world. And I love in the way that she shows up authentically and without fear within her writing and within, like the public. So
Right.
Melania would be currently somebody that I really admire.
Right. Excellent. Excellent. Yeah. As far as me, I'm also um um partial to Sonia Sanchez, Maya Angelou, Rita Dove. Kevin Powell has some great poets. And I also need to shout out the poets, the other poets in my community. There's so many of them. Like if you go on my YouTube channel, you know, you'll see, like Golden Light Poetry, Johnson Sold Out, Amira Shabazz Belial, Kendi Love, just to name a few. There's so many that I connected with, through my podcasts. Each of them in their own way have inspired me to keep building my community for poets, and they have the same passion and respect for my art, and you as well. Your work is inspiring and is making a positive contribution, to the community overall. So it's awesome to be able to pull inspiration from so many places and from so many different people.
Yeah, no, and so is what you're doing. So thank you so much for continuing to create the spaces for us to have these conversations, right? To dive a little deeper and to interview, like you said, emerging or established authors, because as I was coming up with just getting started with poetry, I found that, it's very different social media community and such right now versus to that early 2000s, 2017s and such. And so
Right.
it is important for us to continue to have that path to help other writers and give them a voice whenever it's difficult for them to find, a comfortable giving space for them to share their work. So I appreciate everything that you're doing as well.
Oh, you're very welcome. I'm glad to be able to have the opportunity to do that. What do you hope to accomplish with your work when all is said and done?
Mm. Me and accomplishments have this interesting relationship. See, when it comes to what I want to accomplish, I think that I just want to be able to have my words obviously be a safe space for people like me who move from another country or take a risk of, I have a master's in human resources and a bachelor's in business administration. I have absolutely no degrees in the arts, but I worked on it. I took classes, I did the thing, and for so many poets or readers out there, sometimes it seems impossible to be able to follow something and see it through. So I hope that my work inspires others to take the risk to believe bigger, to be honest with who they are and how they wish to help others. Because at the end of the day, we serve others, right? We're doing this conversation of a service. Or you're interviewing me, I'm talking to you, but I'm also honoring everything that you do. And through this conversation, someone else might feel inspired to continue. So I just want people to be able to read my work, to meet me and say, okay, this is who she is, both on paper and off paper. And I feel inspired by the way in which she captures life within that honesty and that gentleness. And hopefully it's a safe space for people when they read it and they feel connected and seen in all ways, you know. So yeah, a
Yeah,
little bit of what I think.
yeah, excellent, excellent. Uh, do you have, you mentioned that you have another book on the way. Do you have any other projects or events that you'd like to mention to our audience before we close out?
Correct. So I have my second book, Creator Stillness, coming out next year, spring of next year, and that is going to be an anthology. We have over 20 poets from the Creative Writing Hour who submitted and got accepted. So I'm really excited for majority of them have never had their work published in print. So this is definitely something that gives me a lot of joy. Aside from that, I'll be performing tomorrow at a poetry event and art here in Atlanta, Georgia. And yeah, I'm just continuing to help writers through the Creative Writing Hour. We meet Thursday nights from 8 to 9 and Sundays 11 to 12:30. And this is a space for writers to come and find community via Zoom, work into projects, ask questions, provide, receive feedback. Writing can be lonely, so it's definitely something that I invite others to come into if they want to meet other people, talk about their writing, have beta readers. So yeah, so for right now that is what's going on. So thank you for asking.
Oh, excellent, excellent. And for those that are not familiar with you or already following you, where can you be found on social media?
Yeah, so it will be literally just Dhayana Alejandrina on social media, Facebook, Threads, all the stuff would just really be my name, easiest way to find me.
Okay, excellent, excellent. So before we close out, there's just one more thing I like to do as I do with all my guests, and that is to say thank you. Thank you again, Diana. I enjoyed our conversation, and I definitely enjoyed your poetry. And congratulations on your current projects as well as your future projects. And I wish you all the best with your future endeavors. It was
Thank you
great
so
connecting with
much.
you
Yeah.
tonight.
Likewise. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, thank you. Um, Future episodes are to be announced, but in the meantime, if for those of you that wish to stay connected to keep up to date with the latest happenings in regards to the P.W.P sessions and Poets with Purpose, you can go to the website poetswithpurpose.wordpress.com. And for more information about Poets with Purpose and the P.W.P sessions, you can also reach me at 646-372-6230 or email me at poetswithpurpose@gmail.com. All of my logos and flyers have been created by the excellent team at Eclipse Graphics. You can find them on Instagram at sign Eclipse Graphics NY, or you can go to their website, eclipsegraphicsny.com. Um, for those of you wishing to make a donation, you can do so through PayPal, Tap Media Man, dollar sign on Cash App, dollar sign Anointed Pen, or through Zelly, utilizing my phone number. Um, Lastly, there is a fundraiser. I have restarted the fundraiser for Poets with Purpose and the PWP Sessions podcast, raising funds to go towards opening up an event space slash bookstore to host all events and open mics and podcasts for Poets with Purpose. So you will find the link to the GoFundMe on the website, posewithpurpose.wordpress.com. Any support you can give financially to put towards this goal would be greatly appreciated. And thus, ladies and gentlemen, this concludes season 4, episode number 13. This episode will be uploaded to the Pose with Purpose YouTube channel within the next hour or so. So be on the lookout for that. So you will be able to share the link with your social media channels as well as your contacts. Thank you, Dhayana, for being my guest. A big thank you to my audience. Everyone have a good night and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you.